Hey there, it's D, and this is going to be, I don't know, a weird one. Not really weird. I'm going in with zero plan. I want to keep up the weekly upload that I've been doing, but I don't really have anything planned for this video. You can tell by the title, it is going to be like a little show and tell, a little chat. So for the show and tell portion, a little random context, I always have a little monthly trip to my local Walmart, and I always check out the movie section because if you look behind me, I like collecting movies. I like movies. So, I always do a little check to see if there's anything I want to add to the collection. And this last month, a couple days ago, I had a very surprising K-pop related couple of finds. So in the actual movie section, I found the Stray Kids Dominate Experience concert film, which honestly I think I would have preferred like the Blu-ray, and I think there might have been a 4K edition. Probably not. I think there's just like the DVD and the 4K. But I was too lazy to order it online. So, that works out. Unfortunately, not really much to show or say about this. I haven't watched it yet. It didn't come with any photo cards or anything. I think maybe some editions did. This didn't. This is just cheap DVD. And then at my local Walmart, they moved the vinyl section right next. It's weird. So it's like the end of the aisle that faces out into like the walking section where there's like some featured movies, a small little section of movies, and then right next to that the vinyl, and then right next to that more movies. It's weird. But anyway, the vinyl section is also where I guess they just throw K-pop albums, because I saw some copies of Le Seraphim's new album, Pure Flow, and then they also had some copies of BTS's Are Young. And like I like BTS, I'm a casual fan though. I like a few songs, mostly because I just haven't explored them. I probably should, but I do really love Le Seraphim. So I was like, you know what? I think it was like 18 bucks. Might as well. So I guess I'll show off the Le Seraphim Pure Flow album that I got. So I'm not entirely sure what this version of the album is called, but it is one of those, one version for each member. This one happens to be Yunjin. Let's get that in shot. Um, I'm not sure if the whole album concept is this, or if it's just like this particular version of the album's concept, but it's like shopping themed. I guess this is kind of baggish, as a little kind of reminds me of the folders we would be given for our sheet music and band. Of course, I'm a band kid. That probably explains a lot to some of y'all. But anyway, it comes like this. And then you open it up. You have the CD there, which has like a little barcode information on it. Um, just small little photo book in the middle. And then it came with a single photo card, of course, of Yunjin. I listen. I like Le Seraphim, but I haven't gotten to the level of knowing who everyone is. So there she is, and then the back kind of has like a fake, like retail sticker situation with like a barcode and SKU code and all that. Um, then it also came with a fake little receipt, which has the track list on it, which is nice. And then, weird to me, it also came with a DIY clothing price tag situation. So there it is all in that bag. So essentially, it's a little cord that you would usually find on like some clothes that would have like the barcode and then just like information about the brand or whatever. And then there's a bunch of individual tags, and there's like one for each song. I feel like these might double as stickers. they kind of feel like that, but I don't want to risk it. But yeah, there's one of these, they're all different shapes and sizes and stuff. And it's essentially to make your own clothing tag situation. It's not really sturdy enough to like put on a keychain or anything, so I don't really I don't know. I don't really know the functional or like fan use for it, but that's what all came in that version of this album for any of you that may have been curious. And that's the end of the show and tell portion, so I guess we're getting to the chat section. And of course, I didn't plan this ahead. So, let's talk about how I even got into K-pop. So it was, I believe, August of last year, somewhere around there. It was towards the kind of back end of when K-pop Demon Hunters got big. It's when they started showing the sing-along version in theaters. So I love going to the movies. As previously mentioned in this video, I love collecting movies. I love going to the movies. The only places I ever am are work, home, or the movie theater. 10 out of 10 would recommend solo movie dates. It's great and a lot less expensive if you're just going alone. But anyway, I just on a whim went to see one of the sing-along showings at my little local movie theater, and I loved that movie so much. Speaking of collecting movies, I'm definitely going to end up getting the Criterion edition that's going to be coming out of that. Anyway, fell in love with K-pop Demon Hunters, and I was like, mind blown by the music. I always think of it as like unlocking a new portion of a skill tree in my music taste because I do genuinely enjoy basically any music. I listen to metal, I listen to pop, I listen to country, I listen to classical, I listen to jazz. I do love it all. But an unfortunate thing about me is I still have that kind of teenage twinge of not enjoying popular things or trying to avoid popular things. So I kind of I guess I must have avoided K-pop up until I saw K-pop Demon Hunters. And so I was like, okay, I need to get into this. So started out, uh, asking around on, I think, like the K-pop Reddit subreddit, or actually just like Googling stuff that led me to the K-pop subreddit of, music similar to that of K-pop Demon Hunters. And I believe that led me to like Blackpink and then some Stray Kids. I think Blackpink was one of the most recommended for like similar to Huntrix from the film, and Stray Kids was kind of similar to the Saja Boys. Also, I think like ATEEZ. Unfortunately, using the phone to record and like my tablet is, fun fact, you, the viewer, are situated on my bed. That's a bit. Never mind. Um, Anyway, I have no way to actually check. I do have like a huge K-pop playlist now. I think I've linked it a couple times in a couple past videos. I'll link it again. But yeah, if you personally want to see my K-pop journey, it's in order of what I just added. So it's like it starts out with K-pop Demon Hunters, and I think it gets into like Blackpink, I think Baby Monster, Stray Kids. Anyway, from then I was obsessed, and I was like constantly trying to look up new artists to me. But also there is still that little twinge of not trying to be into popular things. So I did avoid BTS, kind of like I mentioned earlier. I did avoid looking into BTS. There are now a few BTS songs because way before the big K-pop boom here in the US, uh, they were still popular and being played. I feel like I remember hearing some of their stuff in like high school. I think that timeline matches up. God, I'm old. I hope it matches up. Or maybe it's a bad thing that it matches up, I don't know. But yeah, because of that twinge of not wanting to be into the popular stuff, I started trying to look for weird or like unique K-pop concepts. That is how I ended up finding X-Love. Just pulled a random X-Love album from behind me, for example. In case this is your first video of mine, hello, welcome. But I've mentioned XLove a few times in my past videos. In case you don't know, their concept is genderless and gender-free, basically meaning they just do what they want, sing about what they want, dress how they want, regardless of gender stereotypes. They're they're fabulous. They're great. I would definitely recommend them. They have great music, great concept. You know what? Actually, I'm lying a little bit. I'm going to backtrack a bit. I think one of the first groups that I really got into, besides just generally finding music to add to this playlist, was Extraordinary Heroes, which is a K-rock band. Again, I've heavily talked about them before. But yeah, I think I was searching, hey, I want to find artists that are a bit more rocky, metally, maybe K bands. And then that led me to Dreamcatcher, love them. But also Extraordinary Heroes, who I fell in love with. They are now my alt group. My very first K-pop idol album was this. I always forget if it's Beautiful Mind, because they have a song called Beautiful Life, so I get that mixed up. But yeah, my ended up buying my first K-pop album, and then it's been all downhill from there. I now own 10 K-pop albums. You can maybe extend that to 11 if we include Santos Bravos, which not K-pop, but they are an idol group. Technicalities. But yeah, I now have I don't know how long my playlist is. Listen, shout out to my friend Mariana. I remember when I first was talking to her about K-pop and stuff, because I had known she had been into K-pop before. She'd played it at work and stuff. We talked and we were comparing playlists, and her playlist is freaking 6 hours long or something. I'm catching up though. But yeah, I have a good playlist now. I think I have good taste. Always on the search for those interesting and quote unquote weird groups. But of course, I'm not immune to the popular stuff because Stray Kids is really popular over here in the U.S. But yeah, I have the amazing K-pop Demon Hunters to thank for, I don't know, spending. I think I've definitely reached at least $100 in buying K-pop related things at this point. And I think it's only been a little bit less than a year, something like that, since I've gotten into K-pop. I still feel like this video is too short, so I will include a random fun little K-pop adjacent story. Sorry, Mariana, this story is going to be at your expense. So, Santos Bravos, Latin American idol group. They are underneath the Hybe label. So I think I just had randomly heard them through my algorithms being taken over by K-pop and idol groups, and they had basically just released their album Dual, and I hadn't really listened to them because I don't know. There's a slightly stuck up part of me that is luckily now shedding. That's just okay, I'm going to keep it strictly K-pop. On my K-pop playlist, I think I've mostly avoided even adding Japanese releases from K-pop groups. Don't worry, I'm going through that. I really want to get into more international idol groups. I want to get into T-pop, J-pop, P-pop, C-pop, all the pops, idol operated music. But anyway, all that to say, I had heard of them, hadn't really listened to any of their things, and me and my friend Mariana like to talk about K-pop, like to talk about we just have been suggesting just music in general to each other ever since I got into K-pop and started talking to her about it. Anyway, so one day at work I was like, "Hey, have you heard of this group, this Latin American boy group that, operates like a K-pop group? They sound interesting." So she just straight up pulled up the album and played the whole thing while we were working. And we both really enjoyed them. So it gets to I believe one of us was on a lunch break, the other was I think I might have been on the way home or something. I forget exactly. One of us was on, we were both somehow on breaks. I don't know. So I looked up their, K-pop profile, so that we could learn more about them. And we go through them, and she's trying to pick her bias. And at first she was like, "Oh, I like the Brazilian one." It's like, "Oh no, he's like 20 or 19, and we're like 25." She's like, "Oh yeah, no, 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 never mind." She's like, "Oh, at least Drew is cute." And then I'm like, Sterling is like, I got bad news about that one too for you, girl. He's gay. It was. Oh, you had to be there. Never mind. I think this anecdote enough is hopefully funny enough, but it's just such a perfectly timed moment of, ooh, this guy's cute. It's like, no, he's way too young for us. And it's like, ah, shit. Well, at least this one that is age appropriate is also cute. It's like, I'm sorry for you, but he's gay. Anyway, I cannot think of anything else to specifically talk about. You know what? Please, anyone out there, leave me questions, leave me music suggestions. I don't think I will get into the realm of, like, reacting to stuff. I don't have the setup for that. I do have, like, a computer setup thing, but, like, behind me, it doesn't look nice. So, unfortunately, I don't think I can do that. But, maybe I could somehow do reviews, not direct reactions. Anyway, I'm rambling, and this is already going to be hell to edit. So, that's all for today. Have a great day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. Bye.